Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from whatever you're watching this channel. I'd like to start this session by appreciating you so much for making this channel grow. If you wish to support us, just subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. While on a US tour, MEG Whiteman accompanied William RUTO in several events and in several gatherings. And at one particular gathering, MEG Whiteman repeated the words said during the devolution conference. There has been this common notion that whenever you find that US is praising a country, you should know that US has an agenda there.
That President RUTO is serious about curbing corruption, calling out government agencies that engage in unscrupulous practices, and firing government ministers that are involved. Corruption, as everybody knows, leads to misuse of public resources, slows economic growth and job creation, and damages the investment climate. However, while corruption does remain a challenge in Kenya, as in other developing markets, interestingly, third-party measures of corruption indicate some positive trends and modest progress in recent years.
According to the source, finally, MEG Whiteman, who is also US ambassador to Kenya, has confirmed that Kenya is one of the top countries that has been practicing democracy.
And Kenya has an English-speaking, high literacy rate and strong primary, secondary, and tertiary education system. Every firm I have spoken to in Kenya, international firms I have spoken to in Kenya, rave about the Kenyan workforce, and many say it is the best workforce that they have in the world. As I said, US is Kenya's largest export market. In 2022, the United States became Kenya's largest export market, edging ahead of neighboring Uganda. In total, Kenya exports about $890 million in goods to the US each year. But in addition, the United States exported about $600 million in goods to Kenya, $1.5 billion in total trade, which is relatively balanced, and it's expected to increase dramatically as Kenya and the US negotiate the first trade deal of its kind called the Strategic Trade and Investment Agreement, that is the first bilateral trade agreement on the continent between the United States and an African country. However, I will note there is room for improvement, just like any country has room for improvement. The Kenyan government has made great strides and is committed to creating a business-friendly environment. But if it is to accomplish this goal, the government will have to address a few items, and the very first is taxes. Kenya must have a consistent, transparent, and fairly administered national tax policy to attract and retain foreign direct investment and accelerate economic growth. More work needs to be done to establish a durable tax framework, but the government's recent finance law will help create a much more tax-friendly, tax-consistent environment.
She also added that Kenya is one of the most developed in terms of market consumers, and it's also a regional hub. So she was speaking during a US Africa Business Roundtable in San Francisco. This continual praise of MEG Whiteman to Kenya, or on Kenya, is one thing that I think so many people are beginning to wonder whether it is well intended or ill intended. First, I want to take you up to speed with the ruling that Supreme Court issued like a couple of, let's say like 5 days ago, the Peter Kaluma petition, where Peter Kaluma had sought to reverse the decision that the Supreme Court made on allowing registration of LGBTQ community in Kenya. You remember that story we did here. I didn't want to bring it back, but because it touches on what on actions of MEG Whiteman, it's important if we touch on it. So that time, you know, if you remember, if you remember the history very well, that time, the Supreme Court made that decision on a Friday. On a Saturday, we saw Biden's wife come to Kenya. On a Sunday, there was word of a loan, and then she went back to US. So this sequence of activities, this sequence of activities from Supreme Court making that declaration Friday, the wife coming on a Saturday, on Sunday Kenya amepewa loan, on Monday she is no longer there. And I remember that time there was a look of Gachagua. If you looked at how Gachagua appeared during that engagement, you will understand that there could have been something that Gachagua alikuwa analazimika tu kukubali, lakini hakuwa anataka. And one of those things ni probably the praise of Jill Biden, that is the wife to Joe Biden, how Jill Biden could have praised William Ruto and the team on how they allowed that bill to pass. But let me also give you another example of Uganda. Of course, Uganda is now considered as an undemocratic country. Why? Because Museveni declined to support LGBTQ registration. It's very simple. That is the reality. So, the fact that US ambassador is praising Kenya sana hivi should give us something to think about. There is something that these people want from us. It is not just praising us per se. If today we are declined to support the LGBTQ, ungesikia Kenya is the most undemocratic country. But right now, MEG Whiteman is running everywhere, praising Kenya, saying good things about Kenya. But the reality is that they have their own intentions here in Kenya. And if those intentions are not met, then they'll probably say that William Ruto is the most undemocratic president. I want to first of all, I don't know whether MEG Whiteman was here during the demonstrations. I don't know that she was here during when what happened in Kisumu happened. I don't know that she was here, but because if she was here, she could have at least mentioned something of that sort, because, you know, the fact that demonstrators were not allowed to demonstrate should actually give her something to talk about. She should have just gone back and said that human rights must be protected and must, but we've never seen her go publicly to talk about that part. So that's why we realize that because of the moves that she makes, we can as well say that MEG Whiteman is on a mission to benefit America, not to benefit Kenya. It is to benefit America. That's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. How else will we put it if it's not to benefit America? We have tallow oil. I don't know that you remember that history of tallow oil. Kenya is rich with oil. We have tallow oil. That exploration was done way back, I think during Kibaki's time. And back then, Kenyans were heavily taxed for it. Someone asked somewhere, you know, when soon as Moses Kuria mentioned, told people to wachimbe kisima yao, someone had to bring up that topic, said, what happened to the tallow oil exploration? What happened to those tax which were collected from Kenyans while doing that tallow oil? What happened? So that was a question that was posed to Moses Kuria, who, according to many people, maybe was not aware that Kenyans are aware about that tallow oil and how and where it and what happened to it. You know, because the expectation was that once that activity was done and tumepata oil yetu, we would be refining our own oil na tunafanya kila kitu yetu hapa, and then prices of oil ingeenda chini. But look at us right now. We are still suffering, yet despite the fact that tulisema tulivumbua oil, hiyo tallow oil. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to wind up there, but I'd like to read your reaction on MEG Whiteman's move, the second move that she has made of attempting to defend William Ruto. And if you look at the behavioral activities in the US during that engagement, one would easily say or tell that there is something that is happening behind the scene. I would have loved to say a puppet president. That's not what I want us to believe, because we know that William Ruto is very tough. It's the last thing one would think of, a puppet president. But we also know that US wako na influence hapa Kenya. Wako na influence hapa Kenya. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those people who have not subscribed to this channel, please, you can take a moment or second, just 1 second, go down on this, look at this sign, the subscribe, hit it. If you have not subscribed, that is. But if you want to subscribe before, you can just ignore. You also give this video a like. It's so important so that this video can get shared on the YouTube platform. Now, to those people who supported this channel by either subscribing or liking our videos, I want you to know that I'm forever grateful for that support. Without you, this channel cannot grow. So until you catch up again, please stay safe and stay blessed.